All right, I'm always telling people to use Signal because of its end-to-end encryption. And without fail, every time I bring it up, in my comments, someone's saying Signal's hacked. Didn't you see Tucker Carlson's account got hacked? This person's account got hacked, all this kind of stuff. And now I'm seeing headlines this week that are making the top page of Reddit talking about how Signal got hacked by all the Russians. So what is it? Is Signal secure or is it hacked? Then there's always other people in my comments bringing up WhatsApp or Telegram as more secure or less secure, and they have a whole battle with each other. But this week, I want to go over some threat intel reports that have come out of both Google and Microsoft about how hackers are targeting people's Signal accounts and WhatsApp accounts. They're using a technique that isn't new, but is definitely gaining in popularity right now. It involves QR codes sometimes and linking other devices. So I want to outline the whole attack to you so you can spot it and not fall for it. So we're going to cover, are these apps actually secure? How are hackers targeting them right now? How you can protect yourself from it. So first and foremost, right off the bat, is Signal secure? Is WhatsApp secure? So they actually both use under the hood the same protocol for end-to-end encryption. That protocol was developed by the Signal team and is the absolute best in class end-to-end encryption. The main difference between the two is that Signal is open source and WhatsApp is owned by Meta, the creators of Facebook, and is closed source. So while yes, they use the same end-to-end encryption technique, there's an open source version and a closed source version, and that's why I always tell people to use Signal, just because we all know what's under the hood. So getting into the comments of, no, Signal's hacked. That's how you always see on the news. Oh, they had their Signal messages. Tucker Carlson was a very popular one that went to court or whatever it was, and his Signal messages were there. So in all of these cases, Signal's encryption has not been broken. I've said it a few times already in this video. It's end-to-end encrypted. That means it's encrypted from the time it leaves one end, your device, your phone, and it's encrypted all the way to the other person's phone where it's decrypted. If either of those ends in end-to-end encryption are compromised, then it doesn't matter that it's end-to-end encrypted. So when you see things like this in the headlines, what's likely happened is that one of those two ends, one of those two people's devices had spyware installed on it or were somehow otherwise compromised. If your phone is hacked, it does not matter that it's end-to-end encrypted. Your phone's hacked. If we want to get deeper into like the Signal versus WhatsApp versus Telegram, that's a whole nother video and I can do that. Let me know below if you want that. But today I want to talk about these couple of threat intel reports out of Google and Microsoft about a new way that hackers are targeting, taking over your Signal or WhatsApp account. They're doing this not by hacking a vulnerability in Signal or WhatsApp or hacking into your phone. It's a phishing technique, but it's really clever and a lot of people are falling for it. So I covered a few of these headlines on my Instagram and on my newsletter the past couple of weeks, but here's one of the main ones off of ours. Russia-aligned hackers are targeting Signal users with device linking QR codes. So this is the main topic I wanted to talk about today. And this Ars article is really just a summary of this long threat intel brief that Google put out, which is really great. I love when Google Threat Intelligence puts out these long form reports. Super valuable. Thank you, Google. So the crux of this attack is fooling you, the victim, into linking the attacker's device to your account. The legitimate feature of linking a new device to your account generally uses a QR code for ease of use. With your old device logged in, you can pull up a QR code. With your new device, you can scan that QR code. It'll auto-authorize this new device to be able to use your Signal or WhatsApp account. So what hackers are doing, and in this case, they're talking about Russian threat acting groups that are making this part of their MO, is they're creating very convincing looking legitimate things that you might also scan a QR code for. Things like group invites, security alerts, or legitimate device pairing instructions, but with the caveat being the thing you're actually scanning is linking their device to your account. If you follow these type of threat actor groups, the one we're talking about here is APT44, aka Sandworm or Seashell Blizzard. So right off the bat, here's one of their phishing pages. This was on a domain called signal-groups.tech, and it looks exactly like the join group button on actual Signal. Here, if I pull up Signal's legitimate support docs, you can see this whole create a group and invite people to join that group thing. So what this join group button does actually under the hood is then redirect to the link device feature. If you use this signal://URI from a device that has Signal installed, it'll bring up a new page that you can follow the instructions for. You think you're joining a group, you're actually giving them permission to your account. They've actually developed an entire phishing kit with the sole purpose of hacking Signal accounts. The phishing kit is a tool that these hackers can use to quickly spin up these fake web pages that look like they're actual Signal web pages. Here you can see another example. This was on signal-control confirm.site, and it legitimately looks like a Signal QR code. But again, if you scan this, you're giving them permission over your account. Here on another phishing page at teneta.ad-group-site, whatever that is, this page had a button that said sign in to Signal, and again, gave a QR code to link to their device. And then for their last example, they show a security alert. It's a phishing page crafted to appear as a Signal security alert hosted at signal-protect.host. So I loved this report when it came out. I was talking a little bit about it, and I realized I've been talking about this same technique now for a few weeks, over and over again, about threat actors on different campaigns targeting different apps. Kind of crazy to see this whole phishing kit designed just to stealing Signal accounts. One of the things that was new to me here was they talked about the actual Russian invasion of Ukraine and how forces on the battlefront were stealing devices and then linking them to Signal accounts. Here you can see armed forces have worked to enable forward deployed Russian military forces to link Signal accounts on devices captured on the battlefield back to a threat actor controlled infrastructure for follow-up exploitation. When successful, there is a high risk that a compromise can go unnoticed for an extended period of time. That brings us to our first way of protecting yourself against this. Frequently check what devices are logged into your accounts on these things. If you fell for it once, it might silently succeed and the threat actor might not make a whole bunch of noise. I know a lot of people's like Facebook accounts get hacked and then they start sending spam messages to all their followers and it kind of worms that way and it's noisy and you know that you're hacked because that happened. But kind of scarier is the alternative, right? They compromise your Signal account, they link it to their device and then they don't do anything. So you have to then be proactive and check what devices are linked to your account. A lot of people aren't going to do that. So yeah, I remembered, hey, I've been talking about this technique a few weeks now, just not focused on Signal. Here we go. About a month ago, Microsoft released this report about Star Blizzard spear phishing campaigns to target WhatsApp accounts. So this campaign is a bit different because, like I said, it involves spear phishing. Spear phishing is a fancy word for much more targeted phishing. So they tend to build a bit of rapport with their victims. They're not just like blasting some like join group link on Signal. Maybe those were targeted too, but they can be widespread if you want. In this case, they're directly corresponding with their victim to build up some level of trust. In this one, hey, we have established a private WhatsApp group to facilitate discussions regarding the latest non-governmental initiatives aimed at supporting Ukraine. This platform will also serve as a means to coordinate the distribution of government allocated funds for this purpose. You can join at this QR code below. So that QR code won't work. They'll follow on, they'll give you a link. Again, this correspondence is building up trust. But then the follow-up, the QR code, is to link the threat actor's device to the victim's account. But they've spoofed the page, and instead of this looking like it's something that's doing device linking, it's saying that, oh, this is the QR code to join the group. To join the group, open WhatsApp, tap menu, tap link devices. That should be a giveaway. But it still says to join the group, do this. And then again, just last week, Microsoft put out a different report about a different threat actor group using the device codes in their phishing campaigns. This is a little bit different as it's not the link a device to your account method. This is more taking advantage of, you know, when you try to log into something on like your Apple TV that doesn't have a keyboard on it, and to give you some convenience, they say, oh, go log in on an actual device like your phone or your laptop and type this code in, and then we'll link your Apple TV to this account. Well, turns out Microsoft Teams has one of those types of convenience features if you're ever gonna log into something that doesn't have a keyboard. And that code that they give you is called a device code. So in this case, the threat actor would establish some reason to need a meeting with the victim, something where a Teams link would be expected. Then what the threat actor does is goes and tries to log in via device code to the legitimate website to get a device code, then goes to the victim, and instead of a meeting ID, we've all seen it, like type in your Zoom meeting ID to join this meeting. Instead of the meeting ID, they put the device code that they just got from their login attempt. The victim gets a legitimate looking page to join a meeting, and instead of the meeting code, they type in this device code that they ask, they log in with their legitimate username, password, and even MFA. And what they've just done is grant the hacker's device access to their account. So here you can see some messages from the threat actor that Microsoft shared with us, basically establishing via text a need to get on a video conference with somebody. Then they sent them this fake Microsoft Teams join the meeting thing. And this meeting ID number here is actually the device code. They said what the threat actors did once they got access to the person's team account was to use that to laterally move through the organization. You can imagine if your coworker is messaging you something, you're going to trust it more than some random number or some random email address. So if they compromise one, they can generally spread out very quickly from that first compromised account. So what can we do to protect ourselves from stuff like this? First and foremost, I'm a big fan of password managers. One of the reasons I'm a big fan of password managers, besides making it easy to generate a secure, long, random password that's different for every site, is if you have the browser extension for them and they autofill your username and passwords when you're trying to log in somewhere, they will not autofill it into a fake site. So all those Signal phishing domains that I just showed you, they wouldn't automatically log in your username and password. That wasn't necessarily the way that those phishing sites were being used, but it's a good first step against phishing in general. Step 2, MFA on all these accounts where possible, and especially if you could do it with a security key, like a YubiKey. The hardware backed keys are phish-proof. A hacker can't SIM swap you to get your code that was texted to you. They can't even social engineer you to like read out a two-factor code over the phone or to type it into a fake site, because you would have to push the button on the YubiKey that's tied to your laptop. 3, since this is rising in popularity, please be aware when you're doing anything that looks like it's linking another device to your account. Even those Signal ones, when it said join this group, it was redirecting you to a link this device page. Since these stories have come out, Signal has even made it more obvious that you're about to link a new device by warning you a second or third time on the follow-up pages. Thank you, Signal. Hopefully this attack drops in success rate because of that. One thing I want to make sure you guys realize I'm not saying is like QR codes mean you're hacked. I see a lot of content come up these days. It's like, oh, this scam is going on. If you scan this QR code, they've immediately hacked your phone. They've stole all your passwords. A QR code is just a link. It's like a link shortener. So replace QR code with I clicked a link. So if you could click a link that would automatically hack your phone and steal your passwords, then yeah, it would work in a QR code as well, but that would involve things like 0 days for iOS or Android, or a vulnerability in some app that was able to be exploited via your web browser. That's the kind of stuff of like nation states and spyware, and they're not generally burning that kind of stuff to like stick on the QR code that you pay for parking. What QR codes are good at, and you do kind of need to worry about, is they're sometimes a little bit more legitimate feeling for something like a social engineering or a phishing page. To use my previous example, paying for parking, if you scan a QR code to pay for parking and it looks like a page that you are paying for parking on, but is actually a fake website, I could see how it would be easier to fall for that, because you scan the QR code in person. There's a level of trust there. But QR codes in it themselves aren't inherently scary or like hacker magic. Some other things that Google and Microsoft recommend in these threat intel reports is if you're using iOS to check out lockdown mode, especially if your threat model involves these kinds of nation states. Are you an activist, a journalist, anything like that? If you're involved in politics, I would really look at lockdown mode in iOS. And like I said, go into your settings on these apps and check what devices are logged in. Might be something you make a little calendar reminder for and check it every so often. Maybe once a month, you get a little pop-up that says, hey, just make sure that all the accounts that are logged into, your sensitive stuff are the ones you expect. All right, that's all today. Thanks so much for watching. Do all the YouTube stuff down below. Like, comment, subscribe, share, tell your mom, all this kind of stuff as I get this new channel going. It really helps. And if you'd rather this stuff in writing, I covered all the stories I talked about today already in my weekly newsletter that goes out every Friday morning. Check it out, vulnu.com, in the description below. I appreciate you guys. See you next time.